Well, I have a special guest, Dominic, here today. Thank you for joining me on All Things Business and Technology.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, as we get into it, you've had five-time CEO, CRO, CMO, 30 years experience in tech and business.
29 plus one. That
Well,
way it sounds less than 30.
just a little bit less, right?
Nah.
Now, what is your current role today?
I am currently CEO of RetailWire.com. Plus, I'm fortunate to be on a few different boards of different companies too.
Okay. And as we get into your role today, what are some of the biggest challenges that you're facing?
The challenge is always the same. I've been online for about 30 years. I had the Celebrity Cafe. I had Inquisitor.com. And the challenge to me has always been when you're online, the rules of that game change constantly. I used to say the quote quite often. It's almost like you're if you're going out to sea. My grandfather was a fisherman. I never suspected he would go out to sea and be surprised at these waves. So when you're online, there's always waves. There's always something. There is always some crisis, some new rule, and the trick is just you go, okay, what's the new rule? Let me figure it out, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, as you talked about these waves, I mean, you've been in technology since pretty much the peak of when the web came on, and then you
Thank you,
went
sir.
in, not aging you a little bit, but
I'll take it.
as those waves hit, and they're accelerating, they're rapid waves. I mean, I just remember the cryptocurrency now into decentralized into AI now, and that wave right now. How are you adapting to the quickness of those waves?
I think the trick is always you literally never stop learning. The trick is you are constantly studying new technology. You are prepared to always be wrong, prepared to always learn from it. So, two actions I always take is number one, I tell my staff, and I make it very clear. If I'm wrong and they do not tell me, they're in bigger trouble than I am. I want to know if I'm wrong, and I want to know how to fix it. If I said something wrong, I will frequently call afterward and say, what did I say inaccurate here or this? And the second is I'm always looking for the experts, whatever it may be. I'm currently dealing with one tech issue without going down the rabbit hole, and I scheduled 6 meetings in the next 2 weeks. Hey, David, can we talk at A, B, and C? What's your perspective? And some guys are straight on the mark with it. Some guys are tangential to this particular situation. And I'm always trying to learn and be well aware that you just never stop learning. We're always trying to become a little bit better at what you're doing.
Now, as you continue that learning curve, what are some of the things that in your current role that you did not expect? Is there some hiccups in there that you were like, hey, especially being seasoned as a C-suite?
Yeah, it's constant. What you don't expect. So your question is wide ranging, which is good. Um, I think especially I migrated more from media to retail, which they're very close. There's certainly overlap. It's just within the specifics of retail. I've gotten more to pricing analytics, and I've gotten to more shipping logistics and uh, consumer. It's the consumer journey, and you're finding out these other elements that I didn't have the particular expertise on. I mean, I knew enough to certainly have a conversation, but I would never call myself the number one in that one area. And I've been taking the availability of calling those experts the number one in those areas, saying, "Help me! But tell me everything you know about pricing analytics. Go for it." You know.
Yeah, I look back at some of the times that I worked. I worked for a pricing company, and those analytics can drive a lot. I mean, 300 basis points for a multi-billion-dollar company, that drives quite a bit.
Absolutely, hands down, 100,000%. Yes.
Now, as we switch gears into like how you became a CEO. What was your path to becoming a CEO?
I worked on Wall Street from 95 to 99. So I had a little, which gave me a lot of business uh, foundation, if you will. But I started the celebritycafe.com, which was one of the first online magazines, 95 to 15, 16, around there. Went for 20 years. Struck me when I even said that one out loud. And that was my first experience. After that, I was lucky enough to, I worked actually in retail. I was the CMO of Adorama Picks, and I did that mostly because I really loved the experience of this was my own thing. Now I want to work on someone else's thing and see if I could apply those skills appropriately to someone else. So that was definitely, but it was my own journey at first, which was a little reverse of a normal situation. Normally, you're learning from someone else and you're figuring out from someone else. I did the reverse completely.
Yeah, that's amazing because I think more people like you today, they do go in. The startup world is just amazing, living in Silicon Valley and so forth.
Oh yeah.
Um, you see these people that are coming right out of college and just jamming right away and learning as they go. Um, Now, what were some of those pitfalls that you had during the times of learning your journey?
Um, I learning on my own, I did not take advantage of the mentoring. I've been doing mentoring now. For the past few years, I've been doing mentoring, and I'm on a few different platforms. I have people reach out to me on LinkedIn saying, looking for mentoring help. And I just enjoy the experience of mentoring and helping. Through COVID, I probably mentored well over 100 CEOs internationally. It taught me so much. You could imagine that mentoring others taught me. And I'm not sure that I took advantage at that stage saying, who can mentor me? Who can help me? Um, especially I mentioned reaching out to resources, etc. That didn't happen as well as should be when I
Hmm.
started. I wish I did. I wish I had a question and reach out to the X number of resources. People are there, and people usually do their best to help when they can help. If
Yeah, I found that mentorship is something that most young people don't know how to approach senior people and figuring out that who would be the right mentor for them. How would you suggest someone that's growing into just starting off their career or even a seasoned person who's a senior director trying to get into a C-suite?
I think it sounds so simple, and it's one of those things that does sound simple at first. Is just reach out. Um, I I very often I send messages on LinkedIn. I'll find people with 10 different titles, and I'm looking to um, discuss X, Y, Z. There was a point I gone to vacation and have to Quebec, Canada, and I wanted to meet the local community. So I messaged every CEO on LinkedIn. I'm in town. You want to get together for coffee? I'd love to have coffee. And there was a day I had like 5 coffees in a row. Not good for your heart, but whatever. I think so. Um, but it is truly just reach out. I am amazed at times when I'll even say that. And you have right now, there's people who will listen to this, and I'll say, reach out. It's really available to you. It's a valid option to you. And all you have to do is just try, reach out. Dear David, let's say, I'd love to understand XYZ. Dear Dominic, I want to know A, B, and C. Great. No one's generally speaking, when you reach out and ask people, people can be pretty responsive.
That's always one of the hard things, but the easiest things that people find is just opening up and just being personable and saying, "Hey, I'm needing a mentor for whether they're trying to grow their career, trying to grow their personal life." Those are things that we all can do,
Yep,
and and most of us are scared of doing it, but the the tenfold that you get from just opening up your mouth from one conversation is worth the risk. Um,
absolutely. It is beyond worth the risk, and we're normally scared to do such a thing, but the risk is only someone not answering you. So your risk in all reality is pretty minimal. Okay, John Doe didn't answer you. That's terrible. Um, the Sometimes I also do advise when you're reaching out to be that transparent in the sense, if you're asking someone to mentor you once 1 hour a week for the next 52 weeks, that's a job you might want to say I'm looking to hire. If you're looking, hey, I just have a one-off question on A, B, and C, not many people will usually say no to that. Sometimes even being more transparent. I know you're very busy. Someone just reached out to me this week. I know you're very busy. It was in summary. Um, I'm willing to meet with you anytime. What can I do to make it easy for you? Um, and it was just nice to see that transparency, if you will. I think just being open and the vulnerable, though, it's funny you mentioned risk, because yeah, the risk is what? No. But there is a psychological weight to rejection, which can't be understated. People don't like that feeling. You get over that feeling, you move forward.
yeah,
It's just more
100%.
the danger to me becomes when people reach out, like I get every day, health coaches and financial advisors on LinkedIn and such like that. That's more salesy, and I think you just have to also turn it to you're not trying to sell anything. Maybe I've seen people say that I'm not trying to say anything. I just want to really truly get your opinion on X, Y, and Z. Um, and usually it's being respectful all the time. I had somebody say, "I just need an opinion on a 15-minute thing. Can you help me out?" Sure. Well, I scheduled a 15-minute call. I said, "You need more help?" And that's a different story, but and it was pretty straightforward. One of the other things I always try to do, now you say this, is I always try to, especially when I'm reaching out for help, I'll always end the call and say, "Who do you want to meet?" And thank God I have a big network, and I'll just introduce people. Whatever. You need to meet this guy. Let me see if it works. Fine line. You don't want to be basically doing biz dev for people at that point. But I just had someone last 2 weeks ago saying I'm trying to hire a CTO, and I introduced him to the CTO. They have an interview coming up this week. It's a little bit, everyone's happy at that point. And it all works out even beautifully.
Yeah, and I think that you bring up a clear point is try to give more than what you're getting. And at that point, people will respect that anytime I talk to David or Dominic, that I know I'm going to be able to get fruit from him
Oh
and
yeah,
growing that.
you always want to give. In fact, I always laugh about some of the best sales outreach calls. One of my favorite was the guy said, "I know you're always getting those kind of calls, like a free gift card from Starbucks if you talk to me. What's your favorite charity? I'd like to donate to get you on the phone for 15 minutes." And I thought that was brilliant. It was like, I want to give something, but I don't want to make it seem like your time is worth a $10 Amazon gift card. And it was really transparent,
Yeah.
and I value that. It's just, yes, you always want to try to give as much as you can. Try.
That that is really important. And I love that line, the charity part, because I think that giving back is one of the most important things that we can do as humans. And when we look at your journey, and obviously you have been at different stops along the way, what were some of those pitfalls that you ran into to change?
Within the company
Yeah,
pitfalls.
well, in a sense of like as you're moving along through journeys, you were a CEO of a certain company and then you moved to your next one. Was it just the timing that you stopped at that part, or what was the biggest failure in essence?
That's a very good, deep question. Yeah, take some pride in that question. That was a pretty good question. For every career stage, what was the thing behind it that moved it? Um, Truly, there's not one singularity, and I think sometimes it's external, sometimes it's internal. And external, you never know. How did that event occur? And internal, you never know too. So maybe that's part of it all. You don't know on either which way. And you're just trying to make sense of it all, if you will.
So, as you were trying to make sense of these internal, external ones, is there a pivotal point that you have been able to say, "Hey, this is my one of my biggest failures. I don't want to repeat this," whether it's personal or in business?
The In terms of transition, I think we all get into our heads, whatever it may be. And that's really it in the sense, how often do you encounter this and this problem and it feels much bigger than it is. Problems always feel bigger than they truly are. And that is definitely a lesson I try to always remind myself of.
Yeah, that's a psychological thing that I think most people don't allow themselves to go within deeper and within themselves and figure that out.
Mhm.
Um, Now, on your journey, who are some of the most influential people in your life?
It all started one of my first bosses on Wall Street, Ed, who definitely taught me to learn how you learn, to learn how you work, to learn how. It was understanding the humanity. It was not just the moving of the papers, but it was understanding that humanity. And I think that stayed with me was a foundation that what is most critical is sketching out. It's not as critical. Can you move this AirPod to this hand? Say it is the why, the how, and the human behind it. And I'm very happy I had that foundation to start the work life way back. How do people work? People are humans. What makes humans tick? Um, what is the motivation between this person? What is the emotions behind this thing? It's not just the numbers. It never is just the numbers.
Yeah, that's a key thing when we're looking at human nature. It's what is some of the benefits that we will receive from whether it's time equity, sweat equity, whether it's actual financial, what is going to be the return on that? And it is definitely something that you mentioned earlier on the mentorship on
Yeah.
that that is key. Um, well, as we transition into the final part of this podcast, a couple of questions that are I always ask
Ready.
is
Ready for
what
them.
what are those top three books that you would recommend to anyone to read, whether it's in business, technology, psychological?
Oh, if business, Dale Carnegie, How to Make Friends and Influence People has been the foundation for so many other books came out of that. I think everybody I run into has read one of the Dale Carnegie books. Um, in life, I always recommend Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Just speaks to the absurdity of everything that happens in business and life and the universe and everything. Um, and lastly, I would actually, believe it or not, if one needs to escape and understand logic. The Sherlock Holmes series I read from an early age, and it really was cute, very interesting in learning logic.
Those are some really good books.
Not what you probably get typically, but I'll take it. You know,
but when you look at the way that Sherlock Holmes and how he sees things, I think that if people would just don't think what they see, but actually use a map to figure out what's going on.
Absolutely. And I do that in business often, where there was something recently. And I said to the team, there's an issue here. I cannot put my finger on this issue, but there's an absence of noise around this issue, so to speak. And we could see the ripples from this. So let's find whatever the it is. I think we were just seeing the noise and getting concerned. I said, there's a causality causing this noise. So let's figure out what's causing this to start it off with anyway. But yeah, I frequently have that mindset.
Those were definitely 3 books that people should read and get to know. As we wrap up all things business and technology, what is one question that you would have liked me to ask during this podcast, and why?
You actually hit on quite a lot. You went through the history. You went who is a person. It's all things. You know, you covered all things. There is not one particular. Because I don't think it's about that anyway. I very often will talk to people and they'll have that one thing they're pushing. And by the way, you should read my latest book or read my latest, follow me on here and follow there. I mean, sure, everyone could follow me on LinkedIn, go to Miserandino.com, go to RetailWire.com, and definitely connect the dots. But I just think all those matter less than just connect.
Now, as someone who would want to reach out to you as a mentorship, what was a question that I would have to ask you to get you interested in?
It's not that complicated. Just send a message, say hello. Let's start there. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Dominick, for your time today on all things business and technology. I really appreciate the time.
I love it. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for tuning in today. I hope you found this helpful, and I hope you'll tune in next time. For more information on how we can help your business, check out our website at sigmaways.com. I'd love to hear your feedback. Please send me a message with any topic or questions you want me to cover. Also, if you're in the world of business and technology, I would love to have you as a guest. Please hit the like and subscribe button below and stay up to date on the next video. Once again, I'm David, and this is All Things Business and Technology. Cheers.